What's up YouTube, it's JackalGoldKick and I'm here with Acid Rootz and we're going to be doing a collaboration video talking about Dr. Dre fun facts. Fun facts about Dr. Dre, things you may or may not know about Dr. Dre. So let's get started with this collaboration video. I have my list written down here on a notepad, so let's get started with this. So the first Dr. Dre fun fact is Detox, the album. So Detox was an album that Dr. Dre was supposed to release many times. It was supposed to be his next album after The Chronic 2001. And through all the 2000s and a lot of the 2010s, there was supposed to be this album called Detox by Dr. Dre. But it never came out. And Dr. Dre just gave up on it eventually. Which is a real shame because I wish we could have gotten Detox by Dr. Dre. A lot of the leaked songs off of it, like Topless, that song popped off with T.I., that song Recipe with Kendrick Lamar, you know, Kush, I Need a Doctor, Get It by Dr. Dre. You know, a lot of those songs were Detox tracks. Crack a Bottle, that was supposed to be on Detox. It just made it seem like Detox would have been a really good album and had some good production, and I really wish the album would have came out, and I wish we could have heard what it would have sounded like, who would have been on it, what were the singles, what would have been the music videos. It just would have been great in general if we got the Detox album, but it just didn't happen, which is unfortunate because I think it would have been better to have that than Compton, because I was not a fan of Compton by Dr. Dre. It just didn't sound like a Dr. Dre album. So there's Dr. Dre fun fact number 1, Detox album. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 2 is going to be that he made 200 something songs during COVID. So during the COVID thing, where people were locked down, the pandemic thing, apparently Dr. Dre made like 200 or was it 300 something songs during that time period. So there's another fun fact. It's just crazy how much music Dr. Dre has and makes and just decides not to release most of it, which is crazy to me because if he has this much stuff in the vault, including stuff we don't know about, including, as we talked about before, Detox, he's got so much music that I think he should just put all of it out. You know, the fact that he made 200 or 300 songs during COVID is insane, and we haven't heard any of those songs and none of them have been released. But there's another fun fact about Dr. Dre. Fun fact number 3, or fun fact number 2, he made 200 or 300 songs during the whole COVID lockdown thing. So that's a lot of music to make, but I don't know if we'll ever hear it, but I'd love to hear all of them, to hear what they sound like. So moving on, the third Dr. Dre fun fact is that Dr. Dre has always been known to have perfectionism, and his perfectionism is too extreme, and it's gotten too extreme. So this is another fun fact by Dr. Dre. Third one is his perfectionism. Now look, it's good to make the best that you can make. And in some ways, being a perfectionist is a good thing because you give someone the best of what you got. But in my opinion, I think Dr. Dre's perfectionism has gotten way too extreme. Maybe there was even traces of this in his early career, but even in his early career, he was still able to put out some good music. But I think Dr. Dre perfectionism is definitely something he has, and I do think it's a problem with him and his music because it's so extreme where some of the best songs ever, like Crack a Bottle, The Recipe, I think either the beat for Hate It or Love It or the beat for This Is How We Do It, Dr. Dre just never put out, and Game had to jump through hoops to even use that beat. And Dr. Dre's perfectionism is so extreme that I feel like he ruins a lot of opportunities and wastes time by not putting out any music that's actually really good. You know, he didn't put Detox out, and you know, right there, his perfectionism was too extreme, so he never put out the album Detox because of it. But then he releases Compton, and then he releases The Contract with the GTA 5 EP, which are both mediocre. So, you know, Dr. Dre is just way too extreme with his perfectionism. His music is good enough, the stuff that we probably haven't heard and the leaks for Detox and all that, it's good enough. It would be great. We know it would be great. You should just put it out and try to get over that perfectionism, extremist mindset he has, because I think it's a big problem he has and it holds him back. And it's held him back, I feel like, from doing a lot of things. Like in the 2010s, You didn't really see him work with Eminem as much as he used to. He didn't really work with Yellow Wolf. He had nothing to do with Bad Meets Evil's album. I don't remember him doing anything for Slaughterhouse, Grip, and West Side Boogie. Dr. Dre don't even do anything with those two. Some of the artists he signed, like Justice and John Connor, a few other rappers that I can't think of, their careers never really go anywhere, and they never have any album, and just nothing ever gets done with them. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 3 is he has perfectionism. But I think his is way too extreme, and it's a problem for him in his own music. So the next Dr. Dre fun fact is going to be Dr. Dre fun fact number 4. And this fourth fun fact is the fact that Tupac was actually in the Natural Born Killers music video. So there's a song that Ice Cube and Dr. Dre did together called Natural Born Killers. Really good song. In the full music video, Tupac actually makes a cameo in this video, which is pretty damn cool. Near the end, it shows like Tupac is, I think, like an FBI or police sniper, and he's aiming a rifle at like Dre and Cube in the building, the way the music video is. And I always thought that was cool that Tupac had a cameo in that video. Almost makes you wonder why he wasn't on the song. I mean, the song is amazing, but imagine if they put Tupac on there as well. It probably would have been even better. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Tupac had a cameo in the Natural Born Killers music video near the end as a sniper. So that was pretty damn cool and awesome to see. And I think that was when Tupac was still alive. So there's Dr. Dre fun fact number 4. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 5 is Royce da 5'9" was supposed to be on the Chronic 2001. So Royce da 5'9" and Eminem were buddies back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, and Royce da 5'9" was supposed to be on the Chronic. There's actually a song out there, I think, called The Throne or something like that, and Dr. Dre produced it, and it seems like a song that was supposed to be on the Chronic 2001, but it wasn't on there. I know that Royce da 5'9" wrote some of the stuff for the Chronic 2001 album. So Royce da 5'9" was supposed to be on there, but it didn't end up working out. Him and Dr. Dre had a falling out because Royce's manager said something disrespectful about Dre and Eminem. I can't fully remember. And Dre had an issue with it. He said, yo, Royce, you're going to have to let this guy go before we do any business or something. And Royce said, I'm not going to fire my manager or something. And that kind of just deaded things, as well as Royce getting into beef with D12 and stuff like that. So it just all fell apart. Didn't really end well. And to this day, we've never really gotten any Dr. Dre and Royce collaborations or a whole album where Dr. Dre produces it and it's for Royce da 5'9". So I think it's a shame that Royce da 5'9" wasn't able to be on the Chronic 2001, because I think that would have been a good look for him, because I've always felt like Royce da 5'9" is a good rapper and he has a lot of potential. It's just most of his music and beat choices are just not good musically. And being on a Dr. Dre album would have really helped him. There was even another song, the Explosive song. There's an original version of that called, I think, The Way I Be Pimpin' or something, where Royce da 5'9" does the chorus and Dr. Dre does the verses. So that's something else that was supposed to be on the Chronic 2001, but because of what happened, it just didn't happen that way. And that song got changed into Explosive. So yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Hold on, my phone, or this other phone I'm using to read off these went to black. So yeah, there's Dr. Dre fun fact number 5. Royce da 5'9" was supposed to be on the Chronic 2001 album and be involved with it, but unfortunately it didn't happen, which sucks, because I think it would have been cool to see Royce da 5'9" on there. So moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact number 6. Him and Timbaland had a planned album. So there was supposed to be a collaboration album between Dr. Dre and Timbaland. I can't remember what the name of it was, but Dre and Timbaland were actually supposed to do a collaboration album together, but for some reason or whatever, it just never happened. And I think it's a huge shame, because Dr. Dre and Timbaland know how to find good artists, and they're both really good producers, and they can make each artist they produce sound different from each other. And they only did a song together once, which is called Bounce, which is pretty good, but I wish we could have gotten a collaboration duo album between Dr. Dre and Timbaland. I think it would turn out really well. You could get Dr. Dre bringing his artists on the album, and then Timbaland bringing his artists on the album, and it would be a meeting of two worlds. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Dr. Dre fun fact number 6. Dr. Dre and Timbaland planned a collaboration duo album, but for whatever reason or not, it never happened, and it's really unfortunate. So moving on, the 7th Dr. Dre fun fact is that him and Ice Cube had a planned album together. So back in, I think, the 90s or something, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube were supposed to do a album together, or a duo album together, called Helter Skelter, and for some reason or whatnot, it never happened. I can't fully remember the details of why that is, but yeah, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were actually supposed to do a collaboration duo album together, but it just never happened for some reason, which is unfortunate because they were in NWA, and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube don't really work like that nowadays. They don't really do a whole lot of stuff together from what I noticed. So it would have been cool to get a collaboration album between Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, because they had good songs together. Natural Born Killers, Keep Their Heads Ringing, Hello, you know, they came up in NWA together. So it's a shame we didn't get this Ice Cube and Dr. Dre collaboration album, Helter Skelter. I think it would have been very interesting to hear how that album would have sounded, the singles, the music videos, the production, how it would have came together in general. It would have been really cool, and it's a shame that this album never came to be, because with the amazing song Natural Born Killers, it's a no-brainer to have them two do a duo album together, but it just never happened. And it's a shame because it could have led into other things. If that could have happened, then maybe Dr. Dre could have been involved with West Side Connection, which would have been fucking awesome. But this didn't happen. So that was Dr. Dre fun fact number 7. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 8 is that he's in the video game 50 Cent Bulletproof. So 50 Cent has a video game called 50 Cent Bulletproof, where it's like a take on him getting shot 9 times type of thing, and it's a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter, kind of like I would say the later Siphon Filters, kind of like Gears of War over-the-shoulder third-person shooter. You got Eminem in there as a cop, 50 Cent, some of the G-Unit members, and you play as 50 Cent and play the video game, and his music is in there. And Dr. Dre is actually in the video game. He shows up a few times. I think he's like selling guns or something near a van. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. He was in the 50 Cent Bulletproof video game. I think you could actually also play as him as well. I forgot what the mode is, but there's some extra mode in 50 Cent Bulletproof where you actually get to play as Dr. Dre as well as play as Eminem, which is pretty damn cool. So yeah, there is the 8th Dr. Dre fun fact. He was in 50 Cent's Bulletproof video game, which is pretty damn cool. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 9 is that his signed artists never went anywhere. And there's quite a few to go through here. We got Justice, we got John Connor, we got Bishop Lamont, we got Hitman. So artists, so one of them is from back in the day, and some of them are from nowadays. It seems like Dr. Dre tried many times to sign other artists, and Hitman, Justice, John Connor, Bishop Lamont, a lot of these artists that Dr. Dre would try to sign, it seems like he just wasted them and didn't really do anything with them, and it just went nowhere with those artists. Those signed artists, it just went nowhere with them. We never got any albums from them produced by Dre, people from Dre's camp being involved. We just never got anything complete and put out there from all these signed artists with Dr. Dre's involvement. All we got were just spare songs, maybe some leaked material, maybe some of them showing up on certain Dr. Dre type albums, but for the most part, there's no Justice album with Dr. Dre production, there's no John Connor album with Dr. Dre production, there's no Bishop Lamont album to my knowledge with Dr. Dre production. Hitman, I think he mostly had that, but he had to eventually release that himself. Things just didn't go well for any of these signed artists, which is a shame. It would have been cool to see how these signed artists would have been, what their careers would have looked like, what Dr. Dre would have been doing with those rappers. I think a lot of that has to probably do with Dr. Dre's perfectionism. His perfectionism is so extreme where the music has to be just so good, and Dr. Dre has to really like it, and it has to feel good to go to him, or else it's just not coming out. And that's probably a big reason why a lot of these signed artists just never went anywhere. And it's really a shame. It's really a shame, honestly, because I think like Justice, I like his song Beast. I think he had potential. Who else? John Connor. I think he was a good rapper, but I just don't think he ever made appealing music. He definitely needed Dr. Dre to give him some appealing beats, because John Connor, good rapper, but his music was never really appealing. Bishop Lamont had potential. I like the song Hallelujah with him and Exhibit. That was a pretty damn good song. Last Days is dope. It's a classic Dr. Dre beat. The one that played, they had a snippet of it played at the end. I forgot about Dre. So Hitman had some potential. He had some good stuff. And then, yeah, that was Dr. Dre. Fun fact number 9 is his signed artists, the ones I mentioned, they never went anywhere, and not much was even done with them, which is a huge shame, and it's unfortunate. So moving on, Dr. Dre. Fun fact number 10. He's in a video with Snoop, Eminem, and Ice Cube. So back in the 2000s, there was the Up in Smoke tour, which had Eminem, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Snoop Dogg. And there's 2 videos of this where Dr. Dre is in both videos with Eminem, Ice Cube, and Snoop Dogg. And it's just pretty cool videos to see. It's cool to see them all together and all in the same video. But it's also kind of unfortunate because you get a video with all of them, but we've never had music or songs with all of them together. I mean, Eminem and Snoop have worked together. Dre and Snoop, and Dre and Ice Cube, and there's been some collaborations, you know, with those artists, but we've never gotten any music that had Eminem, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Snoop Dogg all in the same song together. We've never had that before, even back when they did the Up in Smoke tour, and that was a missed opportunity, because a song with them four, it would have been absolutely great, and it's a shame they never made music. So while it's cool, and this is a cool Dr. Dre fun fact, that he was in a video with Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Ice Cube for the Up in Smoke tour. It's cool they did that tour. I really think they should have did some stuff together musically, especially at that time. What a missed opportunity. So there was Dr. Dre fun fact number 10. So the 11th Dr. Dre fun fact is that he wasn't happy with the 187 song. So he had a song with Snoop Dogg called 187 Murder or something, a song that him and Dr. Dre, a song that Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did together. I think it was their first song. It's a really good song, honestly. It was meant for the soundtrack for that movie, Deep Cover, I think is what it's called. Sorry if I got the name wrong. The reason Dr. Dre wasn't happy with 187 is he was wanting to take his precious time with the song, but they had to get the song out at a limited time because it was for a soundtrack and the movie was coming out at a certain date. So the song had to come out in sort of a timely fashion, and that kind of messed with Dr. Dre's approach, where he couldn't really go all in as he wanted to. But to be honest, even if he's not happy with the song and he wasn't able to feel like he fully went all the way with the song is still pretty damn good and great, and it's a classic rap song. So I disagree with Dr. Dre not feeling happy with that song. I mean, maybe it was for his own, you know, personal creation that he wanted to do more with it, but I think it's a great song, and I don't really understand why Dr. Dre would not want to be happy with 187, because that's a classic rap song. And yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Dr. Dre fun fact number 11. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 12. He had trouble crafting good songs with The Game. So The Game was a rapper that was signed to Aftermath and Interscope and to Dr. Dre in 2005. He was a new West Coast rapper, and Dr. Dre had trouble crafting him to the best of his abilities and having him make good music. I mean, he could produce beats for The Game and he could work with him in the studio, but apparently Dr. Dre had trouble crafting good songs with The Game. One of the things that was a big problem that Dr. Dre talked about is he just couldn't really, him and The Game just couldn't really make good choruses for The Game himself. So 50 Cent had to be brought in to sort of make things better and to add his creativity to the music of The Game and Dr. Dre to get something better out of it. And 50 Cent was able to give Game all those hits and all those great hooks, because a lot of those songs in the documentary, like Hate It or Love It, and what was the other one? You got the Hate It or Love It song, and then you got the other collab they did. You know, those big hit songs on there. How We Do, yeah, How We Do, Hate It or Love It, you know, West Side Story, apparently those are 50 Cent songs. They were meant for the Massacre, but he gave it to the game. So 50 Cent definitely helped out the game a lot, and Dr. Dre helped him. You know, he put some dope beats on there, and I'm sure was able to help him out in some way and give him good mentoring, but apparently he just had trouble crafting good songs with the game and really couldn't make any good choruses with the game, and they had to get 50 Cent in there, and 50 Cent had to help with that situation. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact, number 12. So moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact number 13 is that he's worked on Street King Immortal, which was a canceled album by 50 Cent. So 50 Cent, after Before I Self-Destruct, he was supposed to put out an album in the 2010s sometime called Street King Immortal, and Dr. Dre was involved in this album, and he was on a song on there. He's on a song called New Day. He produces a song in there called, I think, Psycho. So Dr. Dre was somewhat involved with Street King Immortal. I don't know how much more he was involved beyond that. Maybe there was more beats on there or something, but Dr. Dre had some type of involvement with Street King Immortal by 50 Cent, but that album never came out for whatever reason or not. I don't know why it didn't. It just never released and never came out, which is a shame, because it would have been interesting to see what 50 Cent would have did with that album, what Dr. Dre's involvement would have been, and you would have had the backing of Eminem, because you had My Life, which is a really good song, and then Champions, another Eminem and 50 Cent song that we haven't heard that was supposed to be on that album. So yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact, number 13. He had involvement and worked with 50 Cent's album for Street King Immortal. So moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact number 14 is that Young Buck stabbed someone for him. So I think this happened at the Source Awards or something in the 2000s or mid-2000s, where Dr. Dre, G-Unit, Eminem, Shady Records, the whole Aftermath staff, and D12 and all of them, they were at the Source Awards, and so was Death Row and Suge Knight. And there was like a huge fight and brawl between both camps, because Suge Knight, you know, he had beef with Dr. Dre and would always try to like bully artists and stuff like that. And what happened was, it was in this club, the Source Awards. You had Shady Records, G-Unit, Eminem 50, D12, Dr. Dre, all them people. And like someone tried to attack Dr. Dre or kill him, or someone punched him, and Young Buck actually stabbed the guy. So that's pretty crazy, and it shows you that Young Buck was pretty loyal to Dr. Dre and loyal to that label as well. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Young Buck stabbed someone for him at the Source Awards when that whole Death Row and Shady Records and Aftermath beef and tension was going on, and Suge Knight tried running up on Eminem. It was around that time. And I think, like I said, the story, Dr. Dre got punched or someone tried to attack him, and Young Buck stabbed the person. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. So the next fun fact about Dr. Dre, number 15 Dr. Dre fun fact, is that the song Forgot About Dre was originally meant for Snoop and Dr. Dre, and for Eminem to just be on a verse. So for the making of the song Forgot About Dre, originally it was supposed to be Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem was just going to be involved in it, and apparently just have like a verse on there. And apparently Snoop Dogg was supposed to do the chorus of Forgot About Dre, but Dre was still going to have the verses, and Eminem was going to be on the song. But for whatever reason or not, it ended up just being Dr. Dre and Eminem on the song instead, and no Snoop Dogg. Which I don't know why. I don't know why it went that way, but it would have been interesting to hear that version of Forgot About Dre, whether it would have been just Dre and Snoop instead of Dre and M, or the Dre, Snoop, and M version. That would have been cool to hear as well. And I wish there was some way we could hear the two other versions of Forgot About Dre, where it's Dre and Snoop, and then Dre, Snoop, and Eminem, because that's already a really good song, and it would have been interesting to hear other versions of it with Snoop Dogg involved and how that would have turned out. So yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Dr. Dre fun fact number 15. So moving on from that, Dr. Dre fun fact number 16 is that the song Guilty Conscious was originally called Night and Day. So there was some interview out there where when Eminem first got signed and him and Dre were working together, they were working on this collab song that ended up being Guilty Conscience. But the original title for Guilty Conscious was actually called Night and Day, which is an interesting title Definitely a lot more different than the final title. I think Guilty Conscious is a better title. It stands out more. It's more iconic. It fits the song's topic more. But it's still interesting to know what the original title was for Guilty Conscious, and the fact that the song was going to be called Night and Day. I don't know if it would have been different beat, topic, lyric, rapping wise or flow wise, or if it just would have been the same song. But yeah, originally Guilty Conscience was supposed to be called Night and Day, but they went ahead and went with Guilty Conscience. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. That was number 16. So another Dr. Dre fun fact number 17 is that he had another planned album besides Detox called The Planets, an instrumental only album. Dre interpretation of what each planet sound like musically, learning the personality of it. He was working on it for 2 years and wanted to do it in surrounded sound. It'll have to be that for Saturn to work. It also held back Detox since he was working on this and Detox at the same time. Now, I didn't know about this for a while until like recently when I was getting the Dr. Dre fun facts list prepared. But yeah, apparently Dr. Dre had another album he was making besides Detox called the Planets. And that sounds like a very different and just out there and bizarre direction Dr. Dre wanted to take, where it would have been his first album where it's just him with instrumentals and that's it, but having it be space-like and focusing on like planets and stuff like that, and what he could have done musically to represent the planets. That would have been interesting. I'd be curious to hear what that album would sound like and what Dr. Dre was able to come up with. That definitely would have been cool to check out. Maybe if he would have released it, there could have been a remix of the album where he throws a whole bunch of rappers on there to get on these planet type songs. Song titles would probably be songs like Moon, or maybe one song would be called Kush Mars or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's another interesting fun fact. He was working on an album called The Planets and was supposed to musically be instrumental only album and musically represent like all the planets and stuff like that, which would have been very interesting in a way different direction for Dr. Dre and something just out there. And but I wish he would have did it, and I wish he would have released it, because I think it would have been interesting to hear, you know. I think we either should have got this or Detox, because it's like Detox definitely should have came out, but then he was working on this as well, and it's like, damn, those are two projects to take on. So I think he should just release both of these albums and everything meant for him, or just release one or the other, or just put them both out in general. But yeah, that was Dr. Dre fun fact number 17. So moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact, I gotta scroll to the next one. Moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact number 18 is the song on Kendrick Lamar's album Good Kid, Mad City, which is called The Recipe, which features Dr. Dre. That song was actually meant for Detox. So The Recipe is a really dope rap song with Kendrick Lamar and Dr. Dre, but apparently it was a song that was actually meant for Detox and was on there instead, but Dr. Dre gave it to Kendrick. And it's good we still got to hear the song, and that is a good song, but it's just further proof that Detox would have been really good if a song like this was meant for Detox and then it was given to Kendrick Lamar. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact for you. I don't know why the song didn't stay on Detox and it was given to Kendrick instead, but yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. That was number 18. Number 19, another Dr. Dre fun fact is that he didn't want 21 Questions on Get Rich or Die Trying. He felt like it was a sappy love song compared to the rest of the album being gangsta. 50 said he wanted to have a balance of duality and commercial appeal, but Dre didn't see it. So yeah, 50 Cent's first debut album when he got signed, Get Rich or Die Trying, the song he did called 21 Questions with Nate Dogg, Dr. Dre didn't want that on the album. He just didn't really get it or see the vision for that song for the album, but 50 Cent did. So it was kind of something they both didn't agree on, because Dr. Dre was thinking, well, a lot of this album is hardcore gangster rap, street type rap. Why are you putting kind of a ladies different type of song like 21 Questions on there that might mess with the album flow? But 50 Cent went against that and still put the song on the album, even though Dr. Dre himself didn't agree with the 21 Questions choice to put that on the album. That's an interesting Dr. Dre fun fact. I would say I would disagree with Dr. Dre about that. I'm glad that 21 Questions did end up on the album because it's a good song. You have Nate Dogg on there, 50 Cent, and it was a great song. And I think it would have been a huge missed opportunity for that song not to be on there. I think maybe this could also play into the perfectionism Dr. Dre has. I don't know. But yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Number 19. He didn't want 21 Questions on Get Rich or Die Trying, the album by 50 Cent. So the next Dr. Dre fun fact number 20 is Ludacris, Akon, and many other music artists are and were supposed to be on Detox. So there's a lot of rappers and a lot of music artists that have stated they've worked on Detox and are on Detox. Ludacris has said before that he's done stuff on there. There's actually something he made that was, I think, a reference track for Dr. Dre to rap over called OG's Theme or something. It's out there by Ludacris, meant for Detox. It sounded really dope. Akon, him and Dr. Dre had a song. I mean, they already had Kush, but Dr. Dre and Akon had another song together that was also meant for Detox. So Akon would have been involved with the album. And all we really got was like a 1-minute snippet of the song by Akon on Instagram, but we didn't get the full one. But man, based off the snippet, that song sounded like a banger, and it's a damn shame we didn't hear that at all. It's a real shame because that sounded interesting. So Akon would have been on there, and then like many others, like I hear Corrupt would have been involved on there. I think Nas was probably going to be involved in there because he was on the song Topless, so you could throw him in there. Eminem, of course. I'm sure The Game would have been involved. I'm sure Snoop Dogg would have been involved. I'm sure 50 Cent would have been involved. There's just no telling all the other countless artists that would have been on there. But yeah, there probably would have been a ton of other music artists that we don't know about that would have been on the Detox album. And that's just another reason why it sucks never got Detox, because who knows how many artists Dr. Dre actually has in that album. Hell, LL Cool J might be on there, because I remember this really dope video where Dr. Dre had some unreleased beat and LL Cool J was rapping over it for like 50 seconds to a minute, and it was badass. LL Cool J was ripping that shit apart. He was just nasty on that song. He ripped it apart with a dope Dr. Dre beat, and it's just like, damn, why can't we get that as a full song? That would have been absolutely incredible, and it would have been just really fucking good. So yeah, there's another Dr. Dre fun fact, number 20. Ludacris, Akon, and many more music artists are on Detox, were involved with it, and did stuff on it. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. So moving on, Dr. Dre fun fact number 21 is that Corrupt has said that there's 3 or 4 Detox albums. So we know about Detox and the fact that it never came out, but apparently Corrupt said himself in an interview that there's like 3 or 4 versions of the album Detox, which is absolutely insane, because Dr. Dre already has perfectionism and makes so much music that we probably haven't heard. It had to switch over because the file was getting messed up. But like I was saying, the fact that there's 3 or 4 versions of the album Detox, and the rapper Corrupt said this, is crazy, because it's like Dr. Dre's already perfectionist and makes so much music we never hear. It's like, damn, I would love to hear the Detox album, but there's like 3 or 4 versions. Holy shit. I would love to hear all the versions come out. He should just do like a Detox trilogy, or Detox Chronicles, or Detox Parts. Detox Chapter 1, Detox Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. Just call it Detox Part 1, Detox 2, Detox 3, Detox 4, or Detox Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, and 4. He should put out all 4 versions that he made for Detox, and just all the material meant for the album in general, because I know it would be good and I know it would be dope, because the few singles off Detox and all the leaked songs and songs that were put on other people's albums from the album in general all were dope and all sounded good. But I just think Dr. Dre was wrong for not putting that album out, because his perfectionism was too extreme, and instead we got mediocre albums like Compton and the Contract EP for GTA, which neither is really a good album in my opinion. Nobody even talks about those compared to his early work like The Chronic 2001 and stuff like that. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. 21 is that Kurupt said he had 3 or 4 versions of Detox, which is crazy because it's like, you know, what were the songs going to sound like in all those versions? Who was going to be on all the versions? How are they all going to turn out? You know, it just, you got to wonder how all those versions sound, what years they were made in, what decades they were in. Maybe one of them was a mid-2000s version. Maybe one of them was a late 2000s version. Maybe one of them was a 2010s version. And then maybe one of them was a little bit later 2010s version. I don't fucking know. But yeah, it's fucking crazy that there's that many versions of the Detox album. So moving on, the next Dr. Dre fun fact number 22 is DJ Quick has said that Detox was better than the Chronic 2001. So DJ Quick said in an interview before that he heard the album Detox, and he said that it was so good. There's so many hits on there. He said that album was actually way better than the Chronic 2001, and that's crazy, you know, because the Chronic 2001 is a classic album. But for DJ Quick to say that, pretty interesting, because he's had some hits. He's in the West Coast, you know. And if it would have been better than the Chronic 2001, that makes me want to hear Detox even more, to hear what it really sounds like and to hear how it would have came together, just hearing things like that, you know. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. DJ Quick said that Detox was better, or was going to be better than the Chronic 2001 album. I didn't write this down, but I just thought of this one. I'll throw another one in. Here's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Dr. Dre fun fact number 23. This is something I knew about as well. Apparently, before 50 Cent was going to have the Get Rich or Die Trying album, the rapper Rakim, he was supposed to do some album where Dr. Dre was going to produce it. And a lot of the beats for Get Rich or Die Trying with, 50 Cent, apparently the material for that and the production for that was originally meant for Rakim and an album he was going to do with Dr. Dre, but for whatever reason it just didn't follow through. Probably for the better, because Get Rich or Die Trying is a classic album, but it would have been interesting to hear Rakim's take on those beats and how he would have approached it and how that would have went and how that would have, you know, turned out. I haven't really heard most of Rakim's music. I am aware of him, but I just never checked him out like that, so I don't have much opinions on him. But it would have been interesting to see Kurupt's version of that stuff and how that would have turned out and how that would have been. It would have been very interesting. So that's Dr. Dre fun fact number 23. I'll be right back because I want to try to find another fun fact. Alright, so I'm back. I had to do a little bit of research to give you at least 2 more Dr. Dre fun facts. So Dr. Dre fun fact number 24 is that LL Cool J has stated in an interview that the song Explosive from the Chronic 2001 album was originally meant for LL Cool J. And it was going to be LL Cool J on the song and Dr. Dre on the song. But LL said he didn't want it out and didn't want to go through with it because it just didn't feel like it fit him and his style and what they were going for. Then of course it transitioned to the Royce version, and then it went into the final version that it was, which was on the Chronic 2001 album. And it's interesting because this and the Royce version have Dr. Dre on it, but the final one we got doesn't have Dre on it, which is just crazy. But yeah, LL Cool J has his version of the song Explosive where he's on it and Dr. Dre's on it, but it never came out because they feel like it didn't fit his style and what they were going for. So that was not put on the Chronic 2001 album. I think it would have been a good song, honestly, and I think it would have been good to hear it. LL Cool J's a good rapper, and I think it would be dope as hell to hear how LL Cool J would have sounded on the Explosive beat with Dr. Dre. And if that song could have made it on the Chronic 2001, that would have been really cool. And it would have just been cool to hear LL Cool J and Dr. Dre work together to see what they could have came up with. Hell, they could have threw Explosive on the album. They could have threw like 2 remixes on the album. They could have threw Explosive remix where it's just LL Cool J and Dr. Dre, and then maybe they could have put the other one on there with Royce, something like that. So there's another Dr. Dre fun fact. Explosive was originally meant for LL Cool J, which is pretty interesting. So the last and final Dr. Dre fun fact, which will be fun fact number 25, I believe, is Jay-Z wrote Still Dre for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. So Still Dre is a song that Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did together for the Chronic 2001, which is a classic song, great rap track, great production, an amazing song overall. But when it comes to the lyrics and everything they're saying in the song, apparently that song was written by Jay-Z. So that's pretty interesting and pretty cool. We know people ghostwrite for Dr. Dre all the time. So yeah, that's another Dr. Dre fun fact. The final one, the 25th one. Jay-Z wrote the song Still Dre for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and put it together in terms of lyrics. So that's pretty cool. And I would say he did a really good job writing that song and putting it together the way that he did. So that's really all I got to say for my part in this collaboration video of Dr. Dre fun facts. I had 25, and those are 25 fun facts to talk about when it comes to Dr. Dre. He's a really good rapper. He's a really good producer. He's a legend in the game. I definitely respect him. He's one of the OGs. If it wasn't for him, there's a lot of things in rap that would have never happened. So he's definitely one of the legends in hip-hop. Absolutely. But that's all I got to say in my part of this collaboration video of Dr. Dre fun facts. Now you're going to see Acid Rootz and what his Dr. Dre fun facts are. That's all I got to say in my part. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell and subscribe to me if you haven't already, and subscribe to Acid Rootz. That's it for me. Peace.
What to do, YouTube? This is Acid Rootz. So I've got a collaboration video with JackalGoldKick here, and that's the Dr. Dre Fun Facts video. So we've got a series of fun facts about Dr. Dre that we're going to talk about, and hopefully a lot of these you haven't heard and maybe not have known about so well. So the first one from me is Dr. Dre is behind Eminem shouting in his songs. So basically, Dr. Dre, when Eminem was working in the studio, started having Eminem shout more in his songs, and was part of the reason why Eminem would shout in songs like Role Model and Kim and some of those type songs. And Eminem talks about this in his 2008 biography book, The Way I Am. So Dr. Dre was kind of responsible for Eminem being more manic and kind of crazed in some of his crazier songs like Role Model and Kim and some of those type songs and the like. So the next fun fact is Dr. Dre was dissed by Tupac on the song Toss It Up. So I'm sure that some of you probably realize that Dr. Dre and Tupac kind of had a falling out, but Tupac in particular really took it to heart when Dr. Dre left the Death Row label in early 1996. So Tupac saw that as kind of like misallegiance and that type of stuff, and even though this was after his All Eyes on Me album, he did drop one last album in his lifetime, which was the Don Illuminati, the 7-Day Theory. And on that album, there's a song where Tupac disses Dr. Dre, and it's on the song Toss It Up. So Tupac has a number of bars talking about like it's no longer Dre Day, Arrivederci, and that type of stuff. So he has a number of scathing disses towards Dr. Dre, and this beef did not get quite fleshed out the way it needed to or would have, because Tupac died the very next month. So that was kind of the concept. So this is one of the final things that Tupac did in his lifetime, was he was about to start off a rap war and a beef with Dr. Dre. But before Dr. Dre could respond, Tupac passed away. So I think Dr. Dre just chose not to beef with him because of what happened. But basically, Tupac almost started a rap beef with Dr. Dre on the song. There might have been other songs where Tupac dissed Dr. Dre, but at least on the song Toss It Up from the 7-Day Theory, this is one where there's some disses, some shots being fired at Dr. Dre and such. So the third fun fact are 3 of Dr. Dre's favorite albums. I'm curious as to how many folks know 3 of Dr. Dre's favorite albums. So apparently he had over 80,000 records that he bought, and that's not his music, but just 80,000 records of music that he was a fan of and stuff. And he was getting rid of a bunch of them, and he kept 3 of them, and these are 3 of his favorite albums. So his 3 favorite albums are Curtis Mayfield's Superfly from 1972, the Barry White Greatest Hits album, which came out on vinyl in 1975 and came out on CD in 1988, and Nirvana's Bleach, which is their debut album from 1989. So those are 3 of if you wondered some of Dr. Dre's taste in music, like you might have known certain musicians, what albums they like and what they're a fan of, those are 3 of Dr. Dre's favorite albums of all time. So the fourth fun fact is Dr. Dre had a period of imbalance with the early Aftermath label. So Aftermath, when you think of that label, you think of folks like The Game and Busta Rhymes and 50 Cent and G-Unit and Eminem and Bishop Lamont and all those different fellows and Exhibit that manifested throughout the 2000s and that type of stuff. And the Aftermath label was definitely pretty sufficient in the 2000s, but the Aftermath label was actually created in 1996. Dr. Dre, after he left Death Row, crafted that label, and the album that kicked it off in 1996 was Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath, which was a pretty flop album. That was a pretty flop album, and the concept about it was the initial years before Dr. Dre put out 2001 in late 1999. He was kind of in Dr. Dre was kind of in the danger zone back in 1996, 1997, 1998 before he found Eminem, just because the first couple releases that he dropped on the Aftermath label kind of flopped. So there was the Aftermath, Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath album that flopped, and then there was a Firm album, which was a super group that Dr. Dre had with like Nas and Foxy Brown and AZ, and Dr. Dre did some beats for that, but they said it was too pop rap-ish and they didn't have chemistry and that type of stuff. So the Firm album flopped, and then Dr. Dre was kind of floundering throughout most of 1996 and 1997 until he came across the Slim Shady EP demo from Eminem after winning the Rap Olympics. And even in 1998, it wasn't a for certain thing that Eminem was going to blow up. I mean, luckily he had like some radio crafted singles like Guilty Conscience and My Name Is that happened. Because if Eminem would have been like AZ and some of those people like Big L that he originally was going to be like he was on Infinite, I don't think he would have gotten Dr. Dre out of his hole. So that's kind of the concept. So it was just between Eminem showing up and the 2001 album showing up, Dr. Dre was almost a sunk ship until Eminem in 2001 happens. That's a kind of a fun fact there. And the fifth fun fact is Eazy-E bailed Dr. Dre out of jail for car fines of over $900, and that's kind of how their relationship somewhat started. Now, I think he had at least known him in the streets and that type of stuff. Eazy-E had at least had a positive relationship with Dr. Dre throughout the mid-'80s and such, but Dr. Dre was on the world-class wrecking crew, and Dr. Dre had been getting arrested for car fines and parking tickets and that type of stuff. And the leader of the world-class wrecking crew, Alonzo Williams, had bailed out Dr. Dre several times and finally told him at one point in 1987 to call someone else because he was tired of spending the money on Dr. Dre. So Eazy-E paid the $900 to bail Dr. Dre out of jail, and in return, Dr. Dre contributed production to Eazy-E's Ruthless Records label. And so that was kind of the beginning and the start of like NWA and Eazy-E's 1988 solo album and some of those type records, DJ Yella and the DOC and all them. So it was kind of because Eazy-E bailed Dr. Dre out of jail that they started collabing more, and Dr. Dre cut ties with World Class Wrecking Crew. So those are some fun facts there.